Hey everyone, Tuppence Tuesday. So it feels like we've kind of gone all the way around, yeah? Full circles as to what KPIs are and what they can really do to drive your business, and how you need to be careful that these KPIs aren't going to drive your business in a direction that ultimately is bad. But one of the answers we hear regularly is, well, KPIs are bad, so we're going to go with something other than a KPI. We're going to use insert abbreviation here. Okay? And there's a number of them. And I keep seeing, oh, there's a new one come through. It's great. It's brilliant. It's going to change the way that we do stuff. So does it? Is there any difference in what it does? Or is it all just the same? What do you reckon? So I guess, the main thing here is it's that reality check, isn't it? As to, well, what are we talking about when we're saying we're doing KPIs? What we're trying to do is understand the value of what we're doing. Yeah. So it's what's the value of what we do? And you kind of, so if somebody's doing something, it's recorded, and then that's how we can derive value. We can assign valuations against that. So from a KPI perspective, how much are we selling? What's our on-time resolution rate, our on-time shipping rate, our profit percentages, our margins, our whatever you want to do, document and build as your metrics can then drive through into your KRA, so your key result areas, to then have your KPIs. Now, the problem with that and the way it all works and how it all goes on is that as you change things and use something different, you need to remember that KPIs, for all that kind of a traditional thing that people use, and not every KPI is a KPI, is that they are intended to be objective. And the point of a good KPI is it is objective. There is no, I feel like this. There's no, I feel it should be to it. It's an entirely objective measure. How many of our orders shipped on time? That's it. An order is either on time or it's late. There's no variation to it. What's our gross sales amount? It's pretty, that's what it is. There's no arguments. It's fact based. Okay. One of the other things I hear is around these customer experience metrics or customer experience indicators, I've heard it like XPI for, experience performance indicators, things like that. So CEM, customer experience metrics. Things like your NPS score, so net promoter score, your customer satisfaction index scoring, those kind of things. Those are customer driven. Now, the issue with a lot of that is that it's entirely subjective, and there's also a lot of cultural side to it. Okay, so it's subjective because it's all about the customer. Now, you could go and do the best thing, right? We could sell £10 million worth of whatever, right, to a customer. It could ship perfectly on time. It could arrive with a beautiful little bow on it, and whatever else, fanfares played, the world stopped, everyone applauded the customer for buying it, right? And they could still go, I don't like him. No, I don't like that person, that business. No, I don't like it. Okay. And that's the nature of these customer experience metrics, is because they're subjective, there's kind of something out of your hands. There's a value add in having it, but the nature of it is there's a lot that just it's not something you can control. Right? And the other one that's doing the rounds at the moment is this OKRs. Right? So objective and key results. Now, objective and key results, it's a more dynamic KPI structure. I couldn't think of a different way of putting it. It's one I'm seeing a lot at the moment in terms of, and that's because right now, the big thing in my industry is around DevOps. DevOps is the way. DevOps. And this is on the back of Agile. Agile is the way, which is on the back of Prince 2. Prince 2 is the way. It's the fad, okay? So DevOps is something that Google used to manage their data centers and the way that they deliver software into their businesses. And it makes sense for the way they work. And I think that's the key. DevOps as a methodology, as a mindset, is something that's focused and built from a single case study. Anytime you have something built from a single case study, it is flawed. Okay? And I'm sorry, I am going to say it. That's the reality of it. You do not have enough data out there to say this works across these industries, this place. We've got one business that we have built this model around and are now peddling it to others. And it is good methodology. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's terrible. Right? It's good compared to the other single case study charlatan that there was. Sigmund Freud, by the way, right? It's better, but it is reliant on the way that a net business operates. So what Google do and how they produce stuff, how they code stuff, how they recruit stuff, the people that implement those processes versus you as a regular company are very different. Okay. So objective and key result areas are the way that you measure a DevOps environment. So because they're KPI in nature, the idea is that they should be objective. So your key result areas should be objective in them. But they are objective orientated, which means that they are based on what a particular area has to perform against. So they are supposed to be reviewed more frequently than a KPI. So KPIs might be reviewed on an annual cycle. Your OKRs is quarterly, is the intent. So there's a difference to. I can get the picture of it, but again, because you've got that level of dynamism, the dynamic nature of them is going to breed levels of subjectivity into the objective measures, because it means, well, what's going to make me look good today? Oh, these objective measures make me look good today. Yeah, and that's kind of the point that KPIs are supposed to avoid. So, you can see, but fundamentally the bit that you need to understand, and this is the big thing, okay, is no matter what you do, it's going to have the same risk profile for you. Okay? Human nature is human nature. And the issues that we really raised about what KPIs do and the behaviors that they can drive weren't so much focused on good versus evil or bad versus anything else. It was focused on human nature and the will of people to succeed. So people want to meet their KPIs. They want to meet their metrics. So whatever metrics we choose, the natural behavior, the natural human behavior is to achieve it. It's not going to be to say, oh, I failed. We say, I passed, I'm great. Okay, and that I passed, I'm great is part of the problem. It doesn't matter how good you are. You're not going to say, do you know what? Put me down to fail this year. Oh yeah. No one's going to do that. So, okay. But again, it all comes down, decide, plan, execute. What are you going to do? And base that on the now. Okay. Change is real. No matter what you choose, be it KPIs, the customer experience metrics, the OKRs, right? It has to change. You will have a change cycle to it. It might not be quarterly, it might be annually, it might be biannually, it might be every 5 years, but you will have a cycle that allows change. And you have to think through that change. So don't be planning, oh, we want to get to here in a decade, because if it's not working for you now, there's no way it's going to work for you in a decade. So find something that works now. Plan how you want to deliver that. How are we going to do it? What are those key milestones that we need to be looking at and saying, right, I've got this. I've agreed me top level metric. I've agreed this. We're going to implement that there. There's a dependency on a platform or on a platform change. Let's have that in there. All of that needs to be done. And then you need to execute against that. You can call it whatever you want, but you have to decide what works for you as a business. You have to work on the now and then plan once you've done that for that. After you've done the full plan, execute way, plan the change and the upgrade cycle and the improvement, because that's part of what we need to be doing now. If we aren't doing that, why are we even wasting our time with KPIs or with anything else that we're supposed to be doing? So what do you reckon then? Okay. The way that KPIs or any form of measurement actually affects your business and the way that it will drive performances for your business, against your business, is something that you need to focus on and be aware of. There isn't a right answer to this. There isn't a case where we can say, oh, I'm going to magically do this. This isn't something, and I've said it so many times, where I can look and say, oh, Gartner, Forrester, make it right for me. Okay. They have an awful lot of great ideas. They have some very, very good consultants who will help you. But what you cannot do is just say KPIs, customer success metrics, anything like that are just something we can pick up off a shelf and implement in our business and have success happen. It is something you need to understand the meaning of it, be it even your customer experience with, net promoter score. Great, we're going to put in net promoter score. Well, what does that mean for you and your business? What are you going to do if your score is low, medium, high? How do you balance that? The cultural side of net promoter score is a great one. I worked with a client, global client, and we found, looking at net promoter scores, actually it was customer satisfaction survey scores, we were trying to align it for net promoter score. Looking at the customer satisfaction surveys, we were finding that it was about 10% lower between the UK and the US. Well, hang on. And it wasn't anything, but once you start going through and looking into it, it's because, well, UK, you do a great job and they'll give you like the second top score. That's kind of, second top score. Yeah. You've done it. You haven't amazed me. It's kind of thing, Whereas in the US, they would go, top score. So the same experience, which is what you're talking about, customer experience, was scored differently. So there's a cultural aspect to it between US, UK. That's not a case of saying my team in the UK are rubbish and my team in the US are brilliant. That's a case of saying culturally, the expectation of a customer is I will score you 4 for offering me excellent service, and I'll only go to 5 if you exceed my expectations, right? And I'm British, so I'm like, well, that's about right. That's what I expect, isn't it? Right? Whereas in America, it's kind of, we'll start with 5 and we'll start docking points if you're not meeting my expectations. So if you've met my expectations, bang, 5 out of 5, awesome. Yes. And you can kind of go, I get the logic of both ways. I'm British, I know, so I'm going to say the British way is right. But it's fundamentally, you have to understand that those impacts are going to be significant when you look at customer experience metrics. Going down the more agile route, the more DevOps focused OKR route of Google, it works and it is good. If you want to do a continual improvement style organization, it's very good because you've baked in the concept of change and improvement and the idea that your OKRs should be tied to your updates and change cycles it's awesome. Okay. The realities are that unless you're like a big data center driven software giant like Google, you may find that it's going to fall foul of other challenges, shall we say, and leave it at that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Right, I'm going to put the whole thing of KPIs and performance reporting to bed for a while. I wanted to do this because I know it's kind of one of those things where KPIs aren't very good. Let's go with CEMs. That's what we're going to do instead because they're not so bad. Right? And what I wanted to get across was they're all as good or bad as each other, and the challenges and the realities that you will face are all the same. and it's about deciding that what you're going to do, what's going to work for your business. So don't forget, come back on Friday for something for the weekend. It's going to be a brilliant video. Take care of yourselves. Have a good week. Ta-da.